I never thought I'd end up here. Finger hovering over the save button on my lawyer's encrypted portal. Rewriting the future of everyone who'd ever whispered behind my back. At 75, with arthritis gnawing at my knuckles like an old debt collector, I could have just faded into the Florida sunset, sipping sweet tea and pretending the ghosts of my choices weren't rattling the blinds. But when Lila, my golden boy son's picture-perfect wife, laughed in my face that afternoon, calling me a fossilized relic clutching at scraps, something snapped cleaner than a shotgun bolt. By nightfall, the $6 million I'd clawed from the dirt of my youth wasn't going to them anymore. It was going to rewrite the lies they'd buried me under. It started with a betrayal so deep it felt like swallowing broken glass. The kind that lines your throat for decades without you realizing you're bleeding inside. My name's Dakota, yeah. That's what they stuck me with back in '49. When my dirt-poor Oklahoma parents thought it'd make me tough like the Black Hills. I was the one who took the fall for Tommy's screw-ups from the day he was born, covering his tracks with my own blood and sweat because that's what mothers do in this godforsaken country. We build the ladders, then watch our kids kick us off the rungs.
Tommy?
My only son. The boy I'd raised alone after his daddy ran off with a bottle and a waitress in Tulsa. I worked double shifts at the diner, then nights scrubbing floors in Oklahoma City high-rises, all to put him through that fancy engineering degree at Purdue. He graduated top of his class, landed a cushy gig in Chicago's tech scene, and married Lila, the sharp-tongued beauty with a Wharton MBA and eyes like polished obsidian. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but mine's been marinating in the heat of 1,000 unspoken resentments. Slow-cooked over family holidays where I'd bite my tongue while Lila jokingly suggested I downsize my cluttered old life to free up space in their guest room. That Thanksgiving in their sleek Lincoln Park brownstone, with the wind howling off Lake Michigan like a banshee, she finally crossed the line. I'd flown in from my little bungalow in Sarasota, first class, mind you, because even at 75, I refused to cramp my hips in coach and brought the apple pie recipe for my ma, the one that won blue ribbons at the state fair back when life was simpler than a dirt road. The dining table was set like something out of a Williams-Sonoma catalog, crystal glasses catching the candlelight, turkey carved to architectural precision. Tommy was at the head, beaming like he'd invented the wheel, while Lila presided over the wine pour, her red lipstick a slash of authority. Our daughter-in-law, God, how that title chafed after 20 years, had invited her parents too. A pair of Botox socialites from the Gold Coast who eyed me like I'd track manure across their imported rug. Conversation flowed like the Cabernet. Stocks.
Summer homes in Door County.
The latest Tesla model. Then, as I passed the pie, Lila leaned in, her voice a velvet whip. Dakota, sweetie, that recipe's adorable, straight out of the Eisenhower era. But really,
At your age,
aren't you tired of playing the folksy grandma? It's 2025. We could get you one of those AI baking bots. Save you the fossil fuel of stirring by hand. The table froze. Tommy chuckled nervously, stabbing at his peas like they owed him money. Her parents tittered behind manicured hands.
Me?
I felt the room tilt, the pie server heavy in my fist like a gavel. Fossilized, she pressed, undeterred, clutching at scraps of the past while the world's moved on without you. It wasn't just the words, it was the echo of every slight. Every holiday where I'd been relegated to the kids' table. Every check I'd written for Tommy's emergencies that vanished into their vacation fund. That night, as I lay in their guest room, stiff sheets smelling of lavender dryer sheets, I stared at the ceiling fan whirring like a conspiracy. And the pieces clicked. The will. The $6 million from the oil lease I'd inherited and parlayed into real estate flips across the Sun Belt. It was all earmarked for them. The house, the grandkids' trusts, the legacy. But legacies are earned, not mocked. By dawn, I was on a red-eye back to Sarasota, my carry-on stuffed with a pie tin like a talisman. The flight attendant cooed over my vintage charm, but inside, I was a storm front rolling in from the Gulf. My bungalow sat squat on Siesta Key, palms whispering secrets to the salt air. The kind of place where retirees walk their Yorkies and pretend mortality's just another happy hour special. But mine had a war room, the den. Walls lined with file cabinets from my days flipping distressed properties post-2008 crash. I brewed black coffee strong enough to strip paint, fired up the laptop, and dialed Harlan, my attorney since the Reagan years. "Harlan," I said, voice steady as rebar, "we're amending the will. Today." He chuckled, that gravelly baritone honed from too many bourbon lunches. "Dakota, you sound like you're plotting a coup. What's got your hackles up this time?" I told him about Lila's barb, the laughter that followed like hyenas on a scent. He went quiet. Then, "All right,
Darlin'.
but you sure? Tommy's your blood."
Blood.
That's what they'd always banked on, my endless vein of forgiveness, tapped dry by their assumptions. Blood don't buy loyalty.
Harlan.
Draw it up. The day blurred into a frenzy of legalese and spiteful clarity. Harlan's courier arrived by noon with the drafts, trusts dissolved, properties retitled to a new foundation I'd name after my ma, Dakota's Daughters, for women who'd been stepped on one too many times. The beachfront condo in Myrtle, donated to a shelter for single moms. The stock portfolio, funneled into scholarships for non-traditional students, kids like I'd been, scraping by on grit and government cheese. And the crown jewel, the $3 million cash reserve, split between environmental causes in Oklahoma, ironic, given how oil built my fortune, and a wild card, an anonymous fund for whistleblowers. Because secrets, Harlan always said, are the real currency in this country. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the Gulf in bruised purples, I paced the lanai. Phone buzzing with Tommy's texts. "Mom, everything okay? Lila says you seemed off." Off. I was a goddamn earthquake in heels. The final e-signature loomed on my screen. A digital guillotine. One click. And the life they'd mapped out, the private schools for hypothetical grandkids, the European sabbaticals, evaporated. But revenge isn't just subtraction, it's revelation. And that's when the first crack appeared in their perfect facade. I'd always known Tommy had skeletons, but I'd buried them deeper than a Confederate vault. Back in '98, when he was 22 and fresh out of Purdue, he'd botched a bridge inspection on a state project, falsified reports, cut corners to impress his boss. The collapse killed 3, a school bus driver, a retiree heading to bingo, a young mother with a toddler strapped in the back. Tommy walked free because I confessed to overseeing the oversight, took the plea deal that branded me a negligent has-been in the industry. 6 months probation. My reputation in tatters. Also, he could start clean in Chicago. For the family, he'd sobbed into my shoulder that night in the county jail visiting room, his daddy's weak chin trembling. I nodded. Because that's what we do, we carry the weight until our spines snap. But Lila? She knew.
Oh.
She knew from the jump. Tommy confessed it on their honeymoon in Napa. 3 sheets to the wind on Cabernet and guilt. She'd filed it away like a tax receipt, using it to maneuver him into promotions, to keep me at arm's length lest I spill. And now, As I hit execute on the will, an email pinged from an old contact at the Chicago Tribune, a tip line alias I'd set up years ago. Just in case. Dakota. It's Marla from the Bridge days. Found this in old files. Tommy's emails to Lila. Post-crash. She's pushing him to bury it deeper. Threatening exposure if he doesn't toe the line. Attached. PDFs of correspondence. Lila's words like acid. If your hag of a mother ever opens her mouth, we're done. And that fortune? Mine by proxy. The room spun. Not from age, but from the venom of it. She'd played me for decades. The dutiful daughter-in-law masking a puppeteer. By nightfall, as cicadas screamed their humid symphony, I forwarded the files to Harlan with a postscript, addendum, leaked to the press. Anonymously. The will was locked. The truth was unchained. The fallout hit like a nor'easter off the Atlantic, swift, unrelenting, and leaving wreckage in its wake. By morning, my inbox was a battlefield, Tommy's voicemails stacking like cordwood, Lila's texts a barrage of passive-aggressive shrapnel.
Mom. Call me.
This is a misunderstanding. Then hers, Dakota. Whatever game you're playing, it's beneath you. Family first. Remember?
Family.
The word curdled in my gut like spoiled milk. I poured another coffee, black as midnight oil, and watched the news ticker on my ancient flat screen crawl with unrelated banalities, crypto crashes, celebrity splits. But I knew it was coming. Harlan had greased the wheels with a trusted journo at the Sun-Times, a guy who'd covered the Bridge story back when it was front-page carnage. It broke at 10:17 a.m., a digital gut punch titled Tech XX Dark Secret, Fatal Bridge Collapse Cover-Up Expose. The byline blurred under my reading glasses, but the meat of it seared. Tommy's name. The falsified logs. My confession reframed as maternal sacrifice. And Lila, oh, sweet Lila, cast as the Ice Queen enabler. Emails redacted just enough to damn without doxing. Shares skyrocketed. Comment sections ignited like dry tinder. Justice for the Bridge 3 trending by noon, with armchair detectives dissecting our family photo from last Christmas. Me smiling like a fool in the back row. Tommy called at 11:02. His voice a strangled wire. Mom, Jesus. What did you do?
My job.
They're suspending me pending investigation. Lila's hysterical. She thinks you hacked her email. I sip my coffee. The Gulf breeze rifling the palms outside like paparazzi. Hacked?
Boy.
I've got contacts older than your marriage. You think I carried that cross alone, all these years? Silence. Thick as Gulf fog. Then a sob, the same one from the jailhouse. Weaponized now. We can fix this. Come to Chicago. Talk it out.
Fix it.
Like duct taping a hemorrhaging artery. But Lila was the wild card. The one who'd flipped the board when cornered. I'd underestimated her cunning. That Wharton-honed blade she kept sheathed in silk. By 2 p.m., my doorbell chimed, a courier with a manila envelope. No return address. Inside, a USB drive and a note in her looping script. Play this before you destroy more lives. Dakota. For old time's sake. Old times? We'd never had those. She'd always seen me as the speed bump to her highway. I plugged it in, the laptop whirring like a reluctant confessor. The video opened on their bedroom, king-size sleigh bed. Chicago's skyline mocking through the blinds. Tommy, disheveled in boxers, pacing like a caged bull. Lila, cross-legged on the duvet in yoga pants and a tank that screamed influencer casual, held her phone like a grenade. Babe, your mom's sniffing too close. That foundation nonsense? It's a smokescreen. She's onto the bridge thing. Tommy stopped, face crumpling. She can't be. I told you. I handled it. Lila's laugh, cold. The same one from Thanksgiving, sliced the air. Handled it by letting her take the fall? You're pathetic. If she blows this, we're bankrupt. The house. The cars, poof. He lunged, not violent but desperate, grabbing her wrist. We make it right. Donate anonymously to the victims' families. Her eyes narrowed, obsidian to flint. Right? This is America.
Tommy.
Right gets you audited. We leverage it, spin your redemption arc into a TED Talk. Book deal. But first, we neutralize her. The camera wobbled, hidden in a vase. I guessed, and caught her scrolling her phone, pulling up my will from some shared drive Tommy had idiotically granted access to.
See?
$6 mill. All to us. She changes that. We're back to ramen in a studio. So we remind her. Blood debt. My hands trembled. Not from fear, but fury's aftershock. Blood debt. She'd weaponized my sacrifice. Turned my love into leverage. The video cut to them scheming, fake a reconciliation. Accidentally spike my meds to induce a senile episode, contest the will on incapacity grounds. It was Machiavellian theater. Lila directing. Tommy fumbling lines. By the end, she kissed his cheek, tender, manipulative, and whispered, "For us, baby. For the Empire." I ejected the drive, heart pounding like a bass drum in a funeral march. Empire. That's what they'd built on my bones, the brownstone bought with my loans, the vacations I'd funded as gifts. But the twist, the one that made my stomach lurch, was the postscript file, a scanned letter from 1999, yellowed edges digitized. Lila's college thesis advisor, confessing she'd plagiarized half her MBA work from a rival's unpublished paper. No biggie then, she'd buried it with Daddy's donations. But attached? An affidavit from the rival, ready to resurface if pushed. Lila wasn't just cunning, she was a mirror of my own buried sins. A funhouse reflection of the compromises I'd made to survive. Harlan called as I stared at the letter, the sun slanting gold across my desk like false hope. Papers blowing up. Dakota. Tommy's lawyered up. Lila's posting vague Insta stories about toxic family dynamics. You holding? Holding? I was unraveling the noose they'd tied. Send the video to the Tribune anon. And that letter, hold it. We might need insurance. He whistled low. You're playing four-dimensional chess here. Old girl. Careful you don't king yourself. By evening, the Vulture circled, a reporter from CNN's affiliate sniffing for an interview. Tommy's frantic FaceTime begging for mercy. I declined them all, instead driving my old Cadillac, cream leather cracked like my resolve, to the beach. Siesta's sands stretched white under a harvest moon, waves gnashing like unsatisfied debtors. I walked barefoot, the surf licking my ankles, and let the salt air scour the rage. Revenge wasn't erasure, it was excavation. And as gulls wheeled overhead, crying like the damned, I plotted the next layer, confront them on their turf, force the flip that would divide even me. Chicago welcomed me back like a jilted lover, bitter wind off the lake clawing at my coat. The skyline a jagged accusation against the bruised December sky. It was 3 days post-exposure. The city buzzing with our scandal, like a hive kicked by a drunk. I'd booked into the peninsula. Not their brownstone. Let them stew in the proximity. At 75. I wasn't rushing into the lion's den without a tranq dart. Harlan had couriered the full dossier. The video, the plagiarism F, plus fresh dirt from a PI I'd hired on retainer since the crash, Lila's offshore account siphoning consulting fees from Tommy's firm. $200,000 untraced. She wasn't just complicit. She was the architect, flipping loyalties like a dealer with marked cards. Tommy arrived at the lobby bar first. 7 p.m. Sharp. His Brooks Brothers suit hanging like defeat on his frame. The place hummed with after-work suits nursing Manhattans, oblivious to the drama unfolding in a corner booth veiled by potted ferns. He slid in opposite me, eyes red-rimmed. The boy-eyed bandaged knees for peeking through the executive mask.
Mom.
God. The press there at the house. Reporters in the lobby. I signaled the bartender. A gimlet for me. Club soda for him. No liquid courage tonight. Good. Let M howl. Builds character. He leaned in, voice a rasp.
This isn't you.
The will. The leaks. It's destroying us. Lila's talking divorce, says you're poisoning everything. Poison. The word hung. Ironic given their spiked meds plot. I slid the USB across the table. Casual as passing sugar. Watch it later. Your wife's greatest hits. His fingers closed around it like a lifeline. Then faltered. What is this? Homework.
Son.
On why I carried your lie for 27 years. The door swung again, Lila. A vision in cashmere and Louboutins. Her dark hair a shield against the chill. She spotted us. Hesitated a beat, calculation flashing in those obsidian eyes, then strode over. Chin high like a general to the front. Dakota. Bold move. The hotel. Afraid of a little family dinner? Her perfume invaded the booth. Something expensive and cloying, like ambition bottled. Tommy shifted, trapped between us. The air thickening with the scent of scorched earth. We ordered filet for her, salmon for him, my gimlet sweating on the coaster. Small talk skated the surface. Weather brutal. Traffic hellish. My flight uneventful. Then Lila struck. Fork poised like a stiletto. So,
The will.
petty. Even for you. Mach 1 pi. Rewrite an empire? It's giving desperate matriarch. Tommy winced. I smiled. Slow as molasses. Petty? Says the woman who blackmailed her mother-in-law with a fabricated incapacity clause. Creative.
Though.
Wharton teach that. Her fork clattered. First crack in the armor. Tommy's head snapped up.
What?
I leaned back. The leather creaking like a confession. Ask your wife about the video.
Tommy.
The one where she plans my senile slip to contest the changes. Or the emails pushing you to bury the bridge deeper. Hell. Ask her about the $200,000 slush fund she's been dipping into. Your bonuses rerouted to the Caymans. The booth went tomb silent, save the distant clink of glasses. Lila's face drained to chalk, then flushed crimson.
Lies.
Fabricated by a bitter old woman grasping at relevance. Tommy's eyes darted between us, the USB burning a hole in his pocket. Lila. She flipped then, swift as a card sharp, reaching for his hand. Voice syrup over gravel. Baby. She's gaslighting you. After everything, the crash. Her sacrifice? It's projection. I protected us. Protected. The word twisted like barbed wire. I laughed. Low and genuine. the kind that bubbles from a well of long-buried hurt. Protected? I took the fall so you could play house. Confessed to felony negligence. Lost contracts.
Friends.
All for him. And you? You turned it into a leash. The waiter hovered. Sensing the storm, we waved him off. Tommy stood. Abrupt. Chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. I need air. He bolted for the terrace, leaving us in the booth's dim confessional. Lila's mask slipped fully now, eyes feral. Voice a hiss. You think you're the victim? I built this. Tommy was a mess when I met him, drinking, paralyzed by guilt. I gave him purpose, structure. Your sacrifice was ego. Dakota, martyr complex to feel needed. Her words landed like slaps, each one stirring my own doubts. Had I clung too tight, controlled from afar with checks and silences? But she pressed, flipping again to plea. Change it back. The will. The leaks. We can spin this family reconciliation tour. Therapy pods on TikTok. Profitable. Profitable. The climax crested there. In that booth. The city lights mocking our tableau. I could forgive.
Fold.
Let blood mend the tear. Or push. Shatter the illusion. Damn the fragments. No, I said, voice steel. You mocked me, Lila. But worse, you mocked the dead. Those three on the bridge, they had dreams too. Families. You buried them deeper than I ever did. She recoiled, then lunged verbal. And your oil money? Built on polluted rivers. Displaced tribes. Hypocrite.
Touché.
My fortune's roots were tar-black. Compromises I'd justified as survival. No one clean in this game. Tommy returned then. Face ashen. USB clutch like contraband. It's true.
Lil.
All of it. The divide cracked wide, him pulling toward me, her toward the exit. She stood, coat swirling. Choose.
Tommy.
Her ghost or our life. He hesitated. The boy versus the man. And in that pause, the revenge peaked. Not destruction. But the mirror held up, forcing them to see the rotweed all sown. As she stormed out, heels echoing judgment, Tommy slumped. What now, Mom?
Now?
The twist coiled in my chest. Unspoken yet. The night fractured us like cheap crystal under a boothiel, shards of accusations glinting in the peninsula's lobby as Tommy trailed Lila into the elevator, his weight lost in the chime. I finished my gimlet alone, the gin blooming bitter on my tongue, a toast to the hollow victory. Revenge, they say, is hollow. Mine echoed with the ghosts of what-ifs. What if I'd let him rot in 98? Face the scandal head-on? What if Lila's barbs were just the armor of a woman who'd clawed her way up? Same as me? The questions gnawed as I rode up to my suite. The Chicago River glittering below like fool's mercury. Dawn broke gray and grudging. The kind of Midwest light that flatters no sins. My phone lit up at 6:43 a.m., Harlan. Terse. Fed sniffing around Tommy's firm. Embezzlement angle on Lila's accounts.
You want out? Out.
I'd waded too deep for dry land.
No.
Let it play. By 8. Tommy texted coordinates. A diner off Lakeshore Drive. The kind with Formica counters and coffee that could melt spoons, neutral ground. Our shorthand for truce talks since his teen rebellions. He was there when I arrived. Nursing Black Joe in a booth scarred by decades of hashed regrets. No Lila, Her absence screamed volumes. She left, he said, not meeting my eyes. Packed a bag at 3 a.m., said she'd caiman it till the heat dies. Caiman. Fitting, her slush fun's cradle. I slid in, the vinyl sighing under me. And you? He shrugged, shoulders rounded like defeat's permanent hunch. Staying. Job's toast.
But.
I owe you that much.
Oh.
The word bridged us, fragile as spider silk. We talked then, really talked, for the first time since the crash. He owned the falsifications, pressure from a crooked boss, fear of flunking out into my world of grease and grind. I thought engineering would save me from you. From me, the diner mom, the scrapper who taught him to hustle, but not to heal. I own my part. The confession wasn't just love, it was control, shielding him to keep my grip on purpose. You were my legacy.
Tommy.
Without you, without him, the empire was ash anyway. Lila's flip came mid-morning, a curveball from left field. My cell buzzed, an unknown Florida number. Her voice, stripped of venom, Dakota. Don't hang up. Static hummed. Waves crashing faint in the background. Siesta key? I'm at your bungalow. Door was open, ironic. Huh. My blood iced. Harlan's courier key? No matter. What do you want?
A pause.
Then, to talk. Off record. No flips this time. I drove Tommy's shotgun, silent co-pilot, the miles melting under tires slick with lake-effect slush. Sarasota greeted us with balmy betrayal, palms swaying innocuous. My Lanaya stage for the final act. Lila waited there, barefoot on the deck, a bottle of my good tequila between her knees. No armor, just yoga pants and a hoodie, hair tousled like she'd wrestled demons all night. Come to gloat? She asked as we approached. But her eyes, red, raw, betrayed the bluff. We settled in wicker chairs. The gulf of indifferent witness. Tommy poured shots. We drank in silence first, the agave burning paths to truth. Then she cracked. The plagiarism wasn't theft but survival, Daddy's expectations. A scholarship on the line. I hated her for it, the real author. But I buried it. Like you buried the bridge. Like me. The mirror again. No distortions. She flipped to fury. You ruined us. For what? A pie joke. Then back. Soft. Tommy told me everything last night. Your sacrifices. I envied that. My mom's a ghost, Prozac and pool boys. You're steel. The climax crested not in shouts but confessions, the air thick with salt and sorries. Tommy admitted the emails, the enabling, I the will's spite, the leaks, overreach. Lila? She handed over a flash drive, her full ledger. Unredacted. Turn me in. But take this too, proof your oil leases were clean, environmental audits I dug up. Pro bono. Years ago. Thought it'd buy goodwill. Goodwill. The word hung. Controversial as a plea bargain. No one right. No one wrong, just flawed Americans stitching quilts from ragged edges. The twist landed gentle. A gut punch wrapped in grace, as dusk bruised the horizon. Lila pulled a document from her bag, her own will. Modest but pointed. $50,000 to the Bridge Victims Memorial Fund. The rest to Dakota's daughters. Copycat, she quipped. But her smile cracked true. Tommy nodded, adding his signet.
Me?
I tore up the amendment. Harlan on speed dial to reinstate the original, $6M intact. But now with strings, joint oversight, family council. No empire, a pact. We ended there, on the lanai. Tequila warm in our veins. Laughter tentative as first steps. Happy? Tragic? Debated over your coffee. The betrayed avenged. But at what cost? The ghosts quieted. But in America, they never fully fade. Just wait for the next wind.